Hello again, Steve here with a few comments on an idea that I came across here today, which is that the emotions, perhaps it is a hypothesis of mine, the emotions, well, more than a hypothesis, I guess, this is pretty rational stuff, I guess, that our individuality, one could say, is made up of at least body, mind, and emotions, right? And, body is pretty easy to say what that is, right? We can look at it, look down. I'm just looking down at my leg right now, part of the body. Mind, we often think of as dwelling in the brain, but that doesn't matter so much as it's sort of like the program that's running, right? Our ability to think and to reason and to ponder and what is all forms of thought, basically. This like the way in which we think and so on. And then there's how we experience the world. Okay, we experience the world through physical sensations as well, but there are these sort of like we call them emotions, right? Like sadness, happiness, despair, anger, glee, and so on. These are all sort of mental experiences, if you will. But I think there's more than mental. I think it's kind of like where the mind and the body come together. Well, of course, they're not separate anyways, for sure. You got, nobody has proven that without a body there's a mind, or there's mentality anyway. And I suppose one could say that there could be a body, but it's a dead body, you know. But even somebody who's completely comatose still has some kind of subconscious mental action going on if the heart is beating and there's cellular action and some sort of brain action and so on. There's still some sort of a subconscious mentality going on, one could say. They're not conscious. But the emotions, I would say, are kind of like it's a mental action, but there's a physiological effect, and therefore the experience of quality, either in a plus sense or in a negative sense. So, for example, if we're happy, it seems like the body has a certain sensation which is different than if we're really angry or in like depressed or something. There's a physiological experience and a mental experience. So I think it's like, kind of like a coming together. It's kind of like saying, the elbow is the coming together of the forearm and the upper arm, in a way, and it makes them function together. So, in this respect, I think it's important to be cognizant of how the emotions are, because the emotions are telling us something about our mentality and or our physiology, I believe. So, and we can see the effects, right? We can see the effects of, if we go for a long walk and the body has gotten some physical exercise, we can feel a certain way. We feel good about that. If we decided to write a big report or something like that, it's a big mental exercise, and we got it done, and so we feel sort of happy about it or whatever. So they're related, I think, and they are related and they're interconnected. So it's important to listen to them all. But I also think it's important to, in certain times, sort of give an elevated status to a certain one, like if decisions got to be made. Emotions, from what I can see, have a lot to do with the past as well, right? I mean, if we're emotionally traumatized, or traumatized physically, mentally, emotionally, or whatever, a long time ago, there can be mental cues deep within us, so that we react with certain emotions in spite of our sort of knowing that that acting is not necessary or it's counterproductive. An example might be if we were mocked when we were young for speaking up, and somehow that has affected us in our later life, so that we're terrified of public speaking, yet the job that we're doing or what have you requires us to do some public speaking. Well, if we were to just go by the emotion, by this physical feeling of wanting to throw up or whatever, and do nothing about it, do no training or whatever, no mental first steps to improve that, then we're allowing a prior trauma to govern us through our emotions in the moment. So it's telling us something, yes. But if we were to look deep down inside, there's probably an underlying reason why that's happening. So I think as we become healthier, as we become more honest with ourselves, as we become more physically fit, as we become more mentally fit, as we achieve our goals and so on, we get, I think that the alignment of the emotions, the physical and the mental, becomes more common, more commonly lined up, rather than being disjointed from one another. And at that point, we're starting to we're living more true to ourselves, more true to ourselves, and more real, more whole, more holy, more healthy, and holy and healthy, whole, like more complete. We're living more completely ourselves if we're living more, if our emotions, our physiology, and our mentality are more lined up with one another and complement one another rather than fight against one another. Okay, so yeah, and a good example of that would be if we mentally know or think that we should be able to walk, several blocks, but our physiology says, hang on a second, I got an extra 200 pounds, I can't do that. That's an example of the mentality being out of joint with the physical. And with exercise and continuing to exercise in time, the physical body can do what the mentality wants to do. And I think it's very similar with emotions, that in time when we become more comfortable with ourselves and being able to rationally see what is a true use for, fear, for example. What is a healthy use for fear? What is a healthy use for anger? What is a healthy use for so many of our emotions? Then our emotions in time will start to reflect that, especially when we're able to be healthier in our body too, I think. I don't know, this is just a hypothesis of mine. It's very, very brief. It's a thought. And not that I'm teaching anybody anything. I'm more just trying to approach these things philosophically, think through them as to what makes sense, and to approach these ideas of what it is that we are from what it is that I can sort of perceive and see and experience, rather than make up as, or just adopt somebody else's gospel. It's I think that's more wholesome for us. It's a more wholesome approach to take. Anyway, it's great chatting again. Steve here. Talk again soon. Bye for now.